Edna Krabappel served as Bart's teacher from the very beginning of the show, with the character being retired in the 25th season due to Marisha Wallace sadly passing away. Her last lines were in the episode The Man Who Grew Too Much. While not a very good episode to go out on, the lines she was given in the epilogue of the episode were very sweet. Edna's character began with her being a nemesis to Bart's shenanigans, and being very sassy while doing it. She was awesome from the start, but as time went on and the show wanted to expand on its lore and world, an effort was made to connect Edna with more characters, such as hooking her up with Ned, which lasted for a total of 9 seasons before they broke up. Did I say Ned? Skinner, I meant she broke up with Skinner. And while it's sad and all that they broke up, I'm just more surprised that Skinner was able to maintain a relationship for 9 whole seasons. Especially his later season self, who's kind of a loser. But that aside, after Edna broke up with Skinner, poor Skinner, she got together with Ned, who's a much better fit. Not only because his wife died, Homer killed her, it was a whole thing. Homer killed Ned's wife, he laughed at him for a while, Ned was sad, then he got over it. And I think having Edna, who's a very pessimistic, sad, lonely person, with Ned, who's a very hopeful, loving, lonely person, is just a match made in heaven. And I would have loved to see it continue, but of course that couldn't happen because sadly Marisha passed away. But what we did get was very lovely. And after the very unfortunate events occurred, the showrunners chose to retire Edna's character, which caused the show to shut down on school plots for 7 whole seasons. Now, 7 whole seasons is a very long time, so you can imagine that left a bit of emptiness in the show that was previously filled by Marsha Wallace's character. And while we still had Lisa and her teacher, you can't lie and say that Miss Hoover is anywhere near as impactful as Edna's character was. They did try to fill in that emptiness occasionally by bringing in a few guest stars to play the role of Bart's teacher, but as you can imagine, they wouldn't last long after their one episode. But there was one time where they got Willem Dafoe to play a guest role as Bart's substitute teacher, and it would have been really cool. It wouldn't have happened, but it would have been really cool to have Willem Dafoe as a recurring star on the show. But after that very long absence of plots focused on Bart's class, and years of having to improvise with what to do regarding it, the showrunners had an idea. With the show's newfound life, brought in by the show's renaissance, they thought it'd be nice to bring back the Bart school plots. But with Edna having been gone for 7 whole seasons, a potential recast now would be a bit tasteless. So the showrunners and producers had an idea. Introduce a completely new character that serves the same role as Edna, but is still clearly their own character. This saw the introduction of the character Miss Peyton, who as of making this video, has been with the show a total of 4 seasons, with her first being introduced in the season 33 episode, My Octopus and a Teacher, which very neatly introduced Peyton to Bart, with her not only meeting him in an environment outside of the school, thus setting up their future relationship, it also establishes the difference between Edna and Bart, and Peyton and Bart, which we will touch on later. But Peyton, unlike Edna, gets to see a different, more childish version of Bart, which sets up a dynamic different from before. Because you see, both characters bring out a different side of Bart that I think is very interesting, as it helps set them both apart, and not just make them the same character again. Some of Peyton's characteristics are her sweetness and sometimes compulsive behavior, in that she doesn't always think before she speaks, but she always is well-intentioned. A great opposite to Edna's character, who thought through her quips fairly well. Since Edna served as Bart's rival, she helped bring out more of his mischievous side, that helped make Bart the iconic character that he was. She gave him someone to bounce off of. And not only that, but she was the only one who challenged him mentally. As funny as it sounds, I do think Edna is one of the few characters who really understood Bart, his motivations, and why he does the things he does. This helps her understand his pranks enough to be able to fight back. She can also be a mother-like figure to him, in episodes like Bart Gets an F, where she gives him an extra point on his test, thus making him pass the 4th grade. Or Bart the Lover, where at the end of the episode, he comforts her about her recent heartbreak, which he caused, but she doesn't know about that. But during Edna's absence, Bart's character shifted more and more towards being a vulnerable, more empathetic character. And if you're gonna bring another character into the picture, it should reflect Bart's current character, just as Edna did for the first 25 seasons. Which leads us to Peyton's contribution to Bart's character. Peyton's debut episode, My Octopus and a Teacher, saw her and Bart's relationship start on shaky grounds, but unlike the cartoony portrayal of the teacher-student rivalry, Peyton and Bart's friendship starts out more realistically, with him being awkward around her because he recognizes her from the pool he nearly drowned in. So it's less Tom and Jerry and more high school comedy. And across Peyton's run, up until today, her character has been used to move episodes focused on the heart and true motivation of Bart Simpson. That he's not this monster, but genuinely a caring person who happens to be a little devilish. This is further supported with episodes like A Mid-Childhood Night's Dream, which had Peyton serve as Marge's reassurance, to assure her that Bart still has plenty of years left until he grows up. Now, the shift from sassy Edna to humorous Peyton is not as jarring as I have made it out to be, because towards the latter end of Edna's tenure, you can tell her character had started to become more in tune with Bart. And maybe this is added by Marisha's older, more laid-back performance, but she felt more loving, and the relationship was taking a turn into a frenemy-like dynamic instead of a pure rivalry. And Peyton, being the fulfillment to that arc that we never got to see unfold, feels good, it works well. Her character isn't so jarring, and it feels like a fresh take, and it separates itself from the previous take. Peyton also leads to different plot lines that we'd never see with Edna due to her nature with Bart, so I'd say she's a pretty worthy replacement. The future of Bart's school plots looks very bright, and I'm really looking forward to see how they continue to grow Peyton's character beyond what we've already seen. So, I hope you enjoyed this little comparison between Edna and Peyton, and don't forget to subscribe for more Simpsons content. I have a lot more in store, a lot. The hub of Simpsons content if you will. So long.